Hello everybody, and welcome back to All the Mods 10. In the previous episode, we got started with the create mod and went through the process of creating brass. For that, we needed to go to the Nether and collect a variety of different ingredients. Eventually, we were able to make a tree farm from the brass that we collected, and as you can see, it has been running in the background here for a while. I recently removed all of the spruce logs from the chest and put them in my new sort of temporary storage base here that I made in between episodes. This is definitely supposed to be a temporary solution to our storage problem, as previously I just had a few chests laying around and there was no organization at all. Now we're at least a little bit organized here. And we are using the barrels from Sophisticated Storage. These are pretty cool. They can be upgraded to be different sizes. There are also slots here for additional modifiers to the storage. For example, if we wanted to use a stack upgrade, which allows us to fit more items in a single stack, or use a magnet upgrade to automatically pull items into the chest. These barrels are going to be used quite a lot throughout this series, but they're definitely not a long-term solution to our storage. So what I want to do today is actually get started building on a workshop. I need a sort of temporary house where we can start building things and actually get started with the mod pack. Right now I'm basically just living outside. So yeah, once we get that, we'll actually be able to get everything set up for the create mod, and I think I've decided where I want to put it. And I think the best place to actually build this is going to be right above where we're already doing our create stuff. So I think if I clear out this area right here and sort of get it flattened and everything, we can start building something here that will look pretty nice and will actually be functional. But before I get started on that, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton and lets me know that you guys are enjoying this series so far. If you want to go one step further, why not consider becoming a channel member? It's the best way to support me directly, and you get access to all of my videos early. And with all of that out of the way, I think it's about time to get started on this build. I'm going to be trying to use a lot of variations for blocks, so what I'm going to do is actually use the chisel and saw from the chipped mod. In order to get these, we are going to need to craft a carpenter's table or a mason table for the chisel. Fortunately though, from a quest we did actually get these early, so we shouldn't have to craft either of those. And if we grab some cobblestone, for example, if I just right click with the chisel, I can put the cobblestone in there, and you see we get a list of a ton of options here. So I'll probably select a few different patterns here for both cobblestone and for spruce wood. Alright, so I think I've figured out my palette, at least for the floor and the walls. But one way that we can actually make this a little bit easier for ourselves is crafting the trowel. The trowel will allow us to randomly pull items from our hotbar, basically making randomization a little more automatic. For example here, if I just press right click on the ground, you can see that it starts to randomly pull items from my hotbar. So now I should finally be ready to get started on the build. Alright, and that is the basic structure for my workshop, pretty much all framed out. Obviously, I do want to go through and add more details, such as actually putting some glass in the windows, adding maybe some fencing every once in a while, and of course the doors, which I'll get to soon. Maybe not in this episode, I'll have to figure that out. Basically, I want to use the create mod in order to actually have these doors basically open up and down, or maybe even swing out. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that quite yet. So the inside of this building has plenty of room for whatever we need to do next. And again, I do plan on having this as a sort of workshop, basically a base before my base. This is where I want to have everything from the create mod setup, and then whenever we start getting into other mods, then we can start working on them in here. And eventually I do want to have, I'm not sure if I want to go for one large base. I was thinking maybe having one over there or up there, or however I want to do that. I'm still deciding on how I want to do that. But yeah, it's only episode 3. We have plenty of time to figure that out. So down below we have a little, almost a shed here. This is the water wheel housing, I guess is what you would call this. I plan on having some water wheels out on this side. I did go through and remove all of the create machinery that was down here, and that's just because I want to, again, move it up in there. And I do actually want to do something special with this area. The regular large water wheels, I guess I placed it a little bit low there, are a little bit small for what I want to do. It doesn't look too bad, but I think I want to design my own water wheels, and technically I'm gonna make a windmill instead of a water mill, but it'll still look like a water wheel, which is also why I'm not too worried about getting flowing water right here, because the windmills will just use the wind instead of having to rely on water flow. So yeah, that's this area pretty much figured out. I do want to go through and figure out what I want to do for a path here. I'll probably do that later on, though. I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do. I might just different sort of cobblestone from chipped, and just use the framed stairs here. I'm not 100% certain. This is still a work in progress, but I figured I'd give an update and yeah, continue working on what we need to achieve today. And that's going to involve basically moving everything inside of this iron barrel into the workshop in an area that is pretty nice looking and will suit these very well. By the way, I did get a shark trophy. The sharks were attacking me a lot while working on the little shed down by the water. A little bit annoying, but yeah, they kind of left me alone after a while. I do still see one circling around down there. They're pretty dangerous. Definitely got to keep an eye out for them. So the way I want to do things this time around is I kind of want to have my machines in the middle of the room. Usually I would line them up against the wall, run the power through the walls or underneath. I kind of want it to be a bit more of like an exposed look. I want to be able to see everything that's kind of going on. I don't want to hide any machines or any of the shafts or anything. I kind of want it, like, obviously I'll run a shaft underneath here, but anything that comes up will just be in line here. And this is sort of what I mean by I want things like out in the open. I basically, like, for the mechanical mixer, for example, I just have a cogwheel here, and that's just going to be up, and hopefully it looks good. What I can do, though, if you didn't know this, is if you have an andesite casing, you can actually right-click it onto certain create objects, such as the shafts. It even works on the cogwheels, so that'll just make it a little bit cleaner looking as the shafts come up through the ground. I could do it all the way up, including that, but I feel like that looks a little bit bulky. Uh, it doesn't look too bad. I do think I like the exposed shaft look though, a little bit better. Might even keep that though. We'll see. I'm just gonna keep on assembling my machines here, figuring out things as I go, and yeah, we'll come back when everything's back in place. Alright, I've just gone ahead and set up a small little system here. I realize I only have 3 machines. Right now it's going to be running a little bit slow, and that's just because I have these 3 large water wheels down here, and I've run a little bit of power underneath the floorboards. I didn't gear it up, and I did that for a reason. And that's because we can actually craft an item called the rotation speed controller. This is a block that allows you to manually adjust the speeds at which a system is running. All we're going to need for this is a precision mechanism and a brass casing. Fortunately, we recently got into brass and we have a ton left over. The hard part though is precision mechanisms have a little bit of a process to actually make them. First off, we're going to need at least one deployer. This can be changed out manually. But basically what we need to do is run a gold plate through a deployer with a small cogwheel, a large cogwheel, and then an iron nugget. And that needs to be done 5 times. And there's only an 80% chance that it actually creates something. So this is a little bit of a process, but we do have all of the machines that we need in order to make it, albeit they are a little bit slow right now. So I set up this millstone with a spruce barrel on top and one on bottom. These are actually from Sophisticated Storage. And what I've done is put a hopper upgrade in each of them. And that'll actually allow the millstone to automatically pull items in from the top and push them out to the bottom. A downside of this is that it is stealing our ingots from the depot whenever we put them in there. So I think what we can do... Unfortunately, we can't configure the sides of the hopper upgrade. You might be able to do it with the advanced one, but for now I'm just going to turn it off and yeah, try this again. And while I'm waiting on that, I might as well set up our stressometer and our speedometer. These allow you to sort of gauge the statistics of your system. So when we place down the stressometer and the speedometer next to it, the stressometer will show you how much of your network that you're using, the remaining capacity, and the speedometer will show you the actual rotation speed. Currently, we're going at 4 RPM, and we're using 4% of our total capacity. So there's definitely a lot more room that we can grow for this, for our little system here. All right, and I finally have another deployer that can be added into our system. All right, and now that I have my gold plate, we can go ahead and get started deploying some of these items that are required for this. So I'm just going to be doing this manually. It's going to take a while, but as soon as I put that small gear in, it should slowly convert, there we go, into an incomplete precision mechanism. And that actually has a sort of a progress bar on it. So as we add items to it, it will continue to progress and become more complete. And it does take a while. I have my inventory sorted out a little bit here to help things run a little bit smoother. And this should be the last item that we need in order to complete it. Hopefully it doesn't break here. And there we go. We got our precision mechanism. And in order to make our brass casing, we do pretty much exactly what we do for the andesite casing, except with a brass ingot instead of the andesite alloy. Nice. So if we immediately combine these two, we get our rotation speed controller. And I'm going to go ahead and place it down here. I'll have to figure out exactly the orientation that we need for this. I'm gonna rip that out and place it down next to our shaft here. And in fact, I'm gonna place it just like that. So the rotation speed controller actually needs a large cogwheel in order to actually get it started rotating. So it's technically a 2-block high block. Either side can be the input or the output, but for now we just have our large cogwheel set to our input, and then we'll use the side here as our output. And we should just be able to connect it pretty easily up to the side, just like that. And so if you look at the front of the rotation speed controller, you'll notice that it has a targeted speed in RPM. This is a little indicator. All you need to do is right-click it and hold right-click, and it'll allow you to choose both the rotation direction as well as the speed. We should be able to use 256 on this right now. Unfortunately, we can't. So if I pull it back down to, let's say, 64, let's see if that'll work. And then 128. So it stops there. Let's try 96. 96 also is stopped. 82. 64. Okay. So I think probably 64 is our highest number we can go to. And looking at our stressometer as well as our speedometer. Oh. Well, that wall is gone. Nice. Oh. Oh, I think it destroyed our... Oh, man. Creepers always know the exact wrong time to enter. What I was going to explain is that we are pretty much at capacity because we are sped up here a little bit. I think it was at 86, so we could probably go like 76 or something like that. I don't know the exact math off the top of my head. Let's try maybe 72. Yeah, 72 still works. 76? That works. 80. Yep. Yep, so 76, I believe, is the max that we can do right now with the amount of machines that we have in our system. By the way, a neat trick to prevent creepers from destroying your builds, which I should have done earlier, is to actually claim the chunks. That'll prevent Endermen from picking up blocks and creepers from breaking them as well. Should be a little more safe now. So what I want to do now is actually get started building the water wheel slash windmill. And for that, we are going to need a ton of wool. So I've just been clearing out a little area here, and I'm going to get started placing down some fences. And I'm going to run around and find as many sheep as I can. While I'm out there, I might find some cows and pigs as well. I know that there's a few pigs nearby, but yeah, I got to get a little pen here for breeding. I've already run around and found a few sheep, but it definitely was not enough. We're gonna need probably at least a stack of wool, maybe more. So, yep, I guess it's about time to get started finding some more sheep. So windmills require the windmill sail to actually move. You can also just use solid white wool blocks or any kind of wool, I guess. I believe carpet works as well. But what we want are the windmill sail frames. These look a little bit like paddles on a water wheel, so that's why we're going to go with those. In order to craft these, though, we do need to make the regular windmill sails, which is going to require 1 wool, 2 sticks, and 1 andesite alloy. And that'll make 2, so we're gonna need probably half a stack of wool and andesite alloy and a stack of sticks. Not too bad, but yeah, it's gonna take a while to build up a little bit of wool. And then in order to craft the windmill sail frames, we just craft the windmill sail into it. So that part's not going to be too bad. All right, and a few minutes later, we got all of the wool that we need for this, hopefully. It might end up taking a bit more, I'm not too sure. So I'll go ahead and craft this down. There we go, and we'll just craft those immediately into the frames. And now I need a bunch of spruce wood, but unfortunately it really wasn't working here in the farm. I had to swap this out for oak saplings, and it's actually working again. I need to already clear this out. Yeah, it just wouldn't work with spruce saplings, so I've just been planting them around, so I'll have to just manually chop these down for now. There is a way to automatically get the 2x2 trees later on with Create as well, so we'll probably have to do that. Alright, so I've figured out my block palette. Now what I want to do is just kind of cut a hole in the side of this, and we'll run a log through here if I can get it rotated the correct way. And this will be pretty wide, so the first sort of wheel of the water wheel will be aligned right there. Then there's a space, then the second wheel is there, and then out from there probably 2 blocks like that. And that should be enough room for the water wheel. And I think I want to go about 3, maybe 4, yeah, I think 3 blocks out with just the logs. And the actual wheel part of the water wheel will be made out of these enclosed spruce planks. And we'll be using these framed stairs in order to actually help get a little bit more of a shape going. And I'm not sure exactly, I think this needs to be one further out. Like that, and one upside down like that. I think that's okay. And those do actually connect through the frame stairs. That's good to know. And I think this pattern looks a little more circular, so that's what I'm going to go for. We're basically just coming out one from the center and then just using the rest as stairs. And now we've got a pretty decent shape going on for it. And to make it look a little more reinforced, we're going to use these reinforced spruce logs. They add a little bit of a binding look on it, so I think that'll make it look a little more sturdy. Next up, I'm going to place some more of these stairs in the center, just to give it a little bit more of a circular appearance in the middle of it. And I'm going to use some of these framed sails as sort of supports, almost like spokes coming out from the larger spokes here. And that's pretty much done for the first wheel. All we need to do now is add some more sails that kind of look like paddles. So we'll go something like that. I'll fix this one up real quick. And that is our first side of the water wheel completed. All that's left to do now is to do that once again. Alright, and that is the water wheel complete as I'm getting attacked by a shark. All that's left to do now is to craft the windmill bearing and glue it all together, and it should be ready to use. Windmill bearings are pretty easy to craft. We just need a slab, any kind of stone, and a shaft. Nice, there we go. And gluing this thing together is going to be a little bit tricky, as you can't actually glue the windmill sails together when they're separated like that, but you can glue them together when there's blocks connecting them. So it's going to take a little bit here to get things glued together, but yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, I think I have everything glued together, and I have my windmill bearing in place here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and it looks like it's all working as intended. I don't see any missing blocks, and it's running through the water pretty well as well. It is kind of dark though, so let me sleep out and not get attacked by a shark, and take a look at this in the daylight just so I can double check. And what we can do is actually hold right click on this little spinning arrow here, and we can actually change the direction that the windmill is moving in. I think I like it going in this direction. There's no real flow to how this river is kind of going. It's almost really a lake anyway. But yeah, if the water is coming from this direction, stop chasing me. If it's coming from that direction, then the water wheels would indeed spin that way. So I think I like it that way. I don't see any blocks floating as far as I can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this area up a little bit, and I'm going to build a little support now for this. I'm going to build up some cobblestone going from the bottom of the lake slash river and hold up that end. All right, so I've filled in the area around the water wheel here with some stone, added a little bit of a support structure there, keeping the left side here of the water wheel stable. I keep dying to sharks though, so I'm probably not going to be able to explore this other side. Yeah, this side is also done, and I guess it's not done. There's a little bit of a hole there. I'll fix that up later, but yeah, as you can see, the water wheel slash windmill is working here. Now all we need to do is hook it back up into our system. And that shouldn't be too hard. I just need to move things around here a little bit. Get our gearbox back there. And I think, yeah, we're just going to need a few shafts to connect the windmill bearing up to our speed controller. And with a few shafts in place, it is now fully connected up. Let's go take a look at the stressometer and see our capacity. Not bad. We are using 7% and we have 4,096 stress units. Not too bad. So the Create Wiki has a pretty useful page here regarding the windmill bearings and the amount of blocks that they need in order to actually produce certain levels of power. So right now we're in the 64 to 71 block range, which will produce 4,096, which is, yep, what we're producing at 8 RPM. So overall, this water wheel isn't the greatest, but it's also not too bad considering how early game we actually are. And we probably won't need too many more than that. Obviously, we can go ahead and speed this up as well, which we should definitely do. We'll figure out how much. We could probably go 256. No. Let's try one. I don't know the math on this. 164 maybe. 164 works. Will 180 work? 180 works. 216 maybe. 216 breaks. 200. Oh, 190. 199. 201 works, so it's going to be probably 212. Yeah, 212 is our max. Oh, 210 maybe. 208. 204 is our current max. All right. Which would mean that we wouldn't really be able to add any more machines into our system. But yeah, for what we have here, that's more than fast enough. And I think the last thing that I want to do in today's episode is move my storage system into our new build. But it's going to be a little bit annoying trying to move everything over manually, you know, filling up my inventory continuously and moving it over. So what I want to do is actually use the Create mod to move this over. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is turn it into a cart contraption using the cart assembler. So we just need a few andesite alloys and some logs, and we get our cart assembler. We'll also need some rails for this, which the crafting recipe I guess has been changed in this mod pack. So we'll either need osmium or go through the railcraft route. And the railcraft route requires creosote. So yeah, I'm going to go and try to find some osmium. I think I know where it is. When I was digging my tunnel down, I did see some. Hopefully I can get enough to do this. Yep, and here's some right away, basically. Try to go shapeless, and there we go. 35 should be more than enough for what we need, especially since we can actually double that and get a little more than a stack. And we can get that inside of our furnace system here. By the way, I did set up this iron furnace. It has auto input and auto output, so I've just placed some barrels next to it. So we have a semi-automatic smelting system. Do need to put fuel in every once in a while. And there we go. We have 24 rails now. We don't actually need that many, though. We can just place one down. And we need it to place our cart assembler on. Now we can craft a minecart and place that inside as well. Now we can just glue all of our chests together. And one last thing that we're going to need for this is a wrench. Here we go. And now, once we give this a little bit of power, you can see the entire thing lifts up, and we can hit it with our wrench. If we can get it there. Might not let us. Hold on. I'm assuming that it's configured in a way that you can't pick up minecart contraptions, unfortunately. That's a little bit annoying, but I guess that we are going to need our rails now. And I should hopefully be able to just give this thing a little bit of a push up the wall there. And I forgot to give the cart assembler a signal. Let's try to fix that real quick. Okay, it did lift everything up. And hopefully, let's see. This should be able to push me down. There we go. And now I should just be able to push forward, hopefully. I'm not sure what's giving me damage there. Alright, I gave it a little push here. And it should be good to move now. I had to readjust where the cart was. And yeah, we got it moving now. A little slowly, but it's going. And there we go. It's all in place now. I don't know if that's exactly where I wanted it, but that's probably the only place that I could get this thing in correctly. But I think I'm going to end things there for today. We made a ton of progress in today's episode. Next time, I want to keep continuing on and discovering new and different mods. Of course, we'll still be working with the Create mod as much as we can. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.